Okay.
Okay, we ready?
Ready.
All right. Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Patty.
Mr. Lemke?
Here.
Mrs. Hoy?
Yes, here.
Mr. Mydall?
Here.
Mr. Patrick?
Here.
Mr. Olszewski?
Here.
Mr. Carnes?
Here.
Mr. Levecki?
We have a quorum. The first order of business tonight will be election for officers. Make nominations for the floor for president.
I nominate Bob Maital for president.
Second.
Any other nominations? Nominations closed. We'll take a vote, Patty.
Mr. Lemke?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoy?
Yes.
Mr. Mydall?
Name.
Mr. Patrick?
Yes.
Mr. Olszewski?
Yes.
Mr. Carnes?
Yes.
Mr. Levecki?
Yes.
Nominations for vice president.
I nominate
I would like to
Chris
nominate
Carnes.
Chris Kearns.
Second.
Any other nominations? Nominations are closed. Roll call, Patty.
Mr. Lemke?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoy?
Yes.
Mr. Mydall?
Yes.
Mr. Patrick?
Yes.
Mr. Olszewski?
Yes.
Mr. Carnes?
Yes.
Mr. Levecki?
Yes.
Nominations for secretary.
Nominate Ed Patrick.
Second.
Any other nominations? Nominations are closed. Patty?
Mr. Lemke?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoy?
Yes.
Mr. Mydall?
Yes.
Mr. Patrick?
Reluctantly.
Mr. Olszewski?
Yes.
Mr. Carnes?
Yes.
Mr. Levecki?
Yes.
All yours, Mr. Mydall.
So thank you. Thank you all, ladies and gentlemen. We have minutes from December the 12th. Does anyone have any comments or corrections to the minutes?
I read them. They looked okay to me.
I move to accept.
Make a motion to that effect.
I make a motion we accept the minutes as written.
Second.
Moved second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I'd like to change the order of business, if it's all right with the commission, and take care of old business first.
Okay.
That would be the approval of SP 423 and S 823 for Caliber Collision at 6037 William Penn Highway. This is a proposed auto repair center in the subdivision of 8.83 acres into 2 lots. This is in a business zoning. Why don't we take up the subdivision plat first? Are there any issues with this, Mr. Morrison, with the subdivision plat?
No, I just wonder, Mr. President, if you want to have public comment before we go into old business.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're right. We have any, are there any interested citizens that want to bring anything to the attention to the planning commission that is not on the agenda tonight? Mr. Morrison, would you check to see if those people have, that have signed up want to speak on a specific topic?
They're here for Caliber Collision, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, fine, then we'll take them up, with this business then.
All right.
Is there any? Go ahead.
You requested information on the subdivision. The only item on the subdivision is noted that if, in fact, the subdivision's approved and the land development's approved, that there would be a request for 2 easements for the sanitary sewer and for the stormwater.
That would be a condition. And they would have to get, they'd have to submit a planning module and get approval from the FTMSA.
I believe this planning module's already been submitted. It's been placed on hold until action by the Planning Commission on the land development.
Okay. Are there any comments or questions from the Planning Commission on the subdivision of the two parcels?
I do not.
Members of the Planning Commission?
No.
Jim, just for the record, how big are the two parcels?
One is, I think, 6.2, and the other one is the remainder, 2 acres.
2.6, 2.7?
265 is the remaining parcel. So it's 6 acres and 2.65, or 6.1 something. It's an 8-acre total parcel with 2.65 subdivided out. The land developer is the remainder.
Okay. Members of the audience, do you have any comments regarding the subdivision itself? It's the division of the land. Has nothing to do with the land development itself, which will be the next subject. No? Okay, hearing none.
Can I make a motion?
Yeah, you make a motion on the subdivision. Although, okay, go ahead.
I was going to make a motion that we accept the subdivision, unless anybody on the planning commission has any comments in opposition.
Second.
Moved and second that this would be, recommend approval of, I guess it's S823, with the conditions that they enter into an agreement with the municipality for the easement and with the FTMSA for a.
Mr. Mito, is it SP 423? That's the site plan?
SP 24, site plan, I assume is 423. Is that correct, Mr. Morrison?
That's correct.
And that's the subdivision?
Yeah, we're just taking motion on the subdivision right now.
Yeah, SP 423.
Yes. It's been moved and second. Any questions on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Then,
That's 823
Okay.
is the subdivision.
okay, now we'll take up SP 423, which is the site plan. Mr. Morrison, are there any comments or updates on this?
I had posted updates to the Dropbox this afternoon and reviewing the briefing, and I had the comments are shown on the briefing. They detail evidence of federal, state, and local permits. We need a little bit further investigation to address the potential conditions on the corner of the site. It was identified in the briefing as possibly being having a slope stability issue. And that would be reviewed by the engineer once submitted. Letters of availability of utilities, I believe there was 2 still outstanding there with that application. Air quality study, required to provide financial security 100% of the proposed improvements, proof of design and approval of design of the proposed water system, the sanitary sewer system, requesting the applicant extend the water discharge from the detention basin via a rock line channel to the nearest surface water course. Design must be approved by the municipal engineer. Financial security and maintenance for the landscaping and 100%, 110%. Responsible for recording stormwater management plan and drawings. A copy of that recorded plan be provided to the municipality, and then the requirement to enter into a developer's agreement.
All those conditions are in the in your memo this afternoon.
In the briefing, that's correct.
All right, well, we'll start with questions from the Planning Commission. Or,
Let's talk about the landscaping, so that the neighbors don't have to look at the cars. Have there been changes to that, Jim?
Yes, there was an 8-foot vinyl fence proposed for the secure car area, and then giant arborvitae were proposed along the property line. I did research the giant arborvitae. They are to be deer resistant according to the internet, so we'll see. They,
Deer fence,
they did move the cutoff ditch down towards the parking lot.
okay.
Is this site plan up on the
I can bring
big
it up.
screen there so that the members of the audience can see it?
And Jane, to the landscaping plan, that channel that was on the property line was pulled back away,
Okay.
well away from the property line, and landscaping, landscape screening trees were moved closer to the property line, as we suggested
Okay.
at the last meeting.
Okay, is it up there, Jim?
Yes, it is.
Okay, I have just a couple of questions. There's a water line on Route 22 across the front of their property.
It's not the landscaping plan behind.
Is there a proposed fire hydrant? Or is there a fire hydrant anywhere along there?
You want to come up to the microphone?
Jim, that's not the landscaping plan, huh?
No, he wanted the site plan.
Oh.
You want the landscaping plan? All right.
It's on the landscape plan. Listen.
Okay.
So you're asking with the water line if we proposed a fire hydrant? We were not proposing a fire hydrant. We could certainly add one. I know we had some discussions with MAWC, and they kind of said it's up to the municipality. There is one down further, but the last discussion we had, we could certainly, if it's wanted by the municipality, we could certainly add one, if that's a concern.
I think it would be a good idea to have a hydrant near the front entrance to the property, seeing as how the,
Yeah, and I think we brought that up to them, and they said it's kind of up to you guys if we want it, so.
okay. Any other members of the planning commission, or do we want to hear from the residents that are here to speak?
Yes.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen in the audience, I know you've all signed up. Mr. Morrison, could you just read them off?
Mr. Kire?
Yes, sir, would you please try to speak into the microphone so we can all hear you, sir?
I'll do my best.
Thank you.
Okay, I have a video that I want to show, but before I do that, I want to say that coming from Monroeville into Murraysville, all the way up to Harrison City Road, it is business after business with no housing developments whatsoever until you get to Harrison City Road. And then there is our development with 700 and some homes. It will be interrupted by this collision center. I also want to show Bowser Collision Center in Murraysville and what a mess it is as you look down upon it, and this is going to be the same thing in our backyards. So I will show the video if you will, please. Okay, this is the entrance from Berkshire to the proposed entryway into the auto collision plant. And you can see that it's only a couple of seconds until you reach the plant. Now, this is in dry weather. Imagine in wet weather or icy weather. And the police sit right at the corner there on that little island and pull over speeders constantly. The speed is 70 to 80 miles an hour usually. And the traffic, according to the police that I talked to last time I was here, said that the traffic has increased tremendously, and I know it has because I watch it every day. This is the Bowser Collision Center, and you can see What a mess. We don't want this in our backyards. It's junk. This is a picture of my backyard where they're proposing to put the sewage line into what was supposed to be a green zone, never touched. And they want to run a pipeline down through there into Murraysville with all their wastewater and who knows what else. You can see how close it is. And then my two neighbors' yards will be coming up next, and they are in direct line with this collision center. It will be right in their backyard. This probably should have been zoned for homes instead of industrial. This is my neighbor who will be affected the most because it is directly behind his house and all of our houses. And clear across the gully, all of these homes will be able to see the collision center. And the last meeting, the question was brought up about a sign at night, and we have a photo of Conley Collision Center at night that lights up the whole area, but it's out in the middle of nowhere. This would be right in our backyard constantly. That's how close it is to the property, to our properties. I tried to call PennDOT to have them, and this is Conley's. You can see at night how bright it is, and that'll be right in our vision at night, like that. Plus a 24-foot building. Plus they're talking about arborvitaes, and I have a herd of 24 deer that come into my yard every night that eat those arborvitaes in a week. It's not the plant to put, and we don't want it anyway. I think this is zoned incorrectly. It probably should have been zoned housing because it is a housing development right behind it. And like I said, I think there's 750 homes back in there. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next, Mr. Morrison.
Troy and Cynthia Smith.
Hello. As you can see from the videos, our house is affected the most by this building being right in the backyard. So we are concerned, of course, you mentioned the switching of the drainage. Is it going down closer to the building or on the other side of the building? What is it supposed to be doing?
Next to the building.
It's next to the
High
building.
side. Yep, the parking lot area.
And you're talking about this 8-foot vinyl fence. Where's that going?
It's located on the drawing there.
I can't tell where that is.
It's right off the edge of the parking lot is where it's shown. So probably a few feet, probably 3 or 4
So
feet.
the only problem we have is we sit higher than this building's going to be. So we're looking down on it. So everything that is behind that fence, around the parking lot, in the back, we're going to be highly visible to it. You know, I didn't sign up for having a body shop in my backyard. You know, like I said in the previous 2 meetings, we would have never bought this property providing we known something like this would happen. Traffic-wise, I mean, they mentioned it by appointment only. It doesn't matter whether it's an appointment only or not, there's still going to be a lot of traffic, whether it's flatbeds, tow trucks, whatever, right past our street, turning immediately into their facility, which is a very short period of time, I mean, between the two streets. So, you know, as far as safety-wise, I'm concerned with that. The lights on top of the building, have we discussed on whether they're going to still put them on facing my house or not? I haven't heard
We have a
about that.
note requested the sign not be facing west.
Okay, because it doesn't face anybody other than our house. You can't see it from the road. You know, the visibility from this building, from where it's supposed to be sitting to the road, I don't even know how anybody's going to see it. So are all the trees going to be taken down in between that building and my house? Or not? Has that been changed?
What they've been told. No. No, they're not coming down.
Okay. So as far as privacy for our property versus theirs, the only thing that we have is, are they still planting trees there too?
Yes, you can see them along the edge of the property there. You want to point those out?
How many are they gonna plant?
30, 32, I believe,
Oh, those shrubs or those trees?
34, 6
Giant
feet tall.
arborvitae.
We have deer, they eat everything.
No, as I said at the meeting, I looked online and they said they're deer resistant.
So how high do these things get?
24 feet,
20,
30
30
feet.
feet.
Eventually, they get very tall.
What's the growth period? I mean, how long does that take?
Are we gonna be dead by the time they're that?
No, I don't think so.
They're on the plan, it's called out for a 6-foot height. And these things grow anywhere typically between a foot, 12 to 18 inches a year, I believe.
So when they put them in, they're going to be 6 feet high?
Yes.
Okay. So we're saying that there's not going to be a sign facing our house then lit? Is that what we're saying?
It's a recommendation.
Yeah, well, I hope so, because nobody else can see it other than me and my neighbors. And how far back is the building actually from the road? Do we know?
Should be on the site.
From the road, sir? That's a question?
From Route 22, how far is the building back?
Front yard setback.
At least 75 feet.
75 feet?
It has to be at least 75 feet.
So how is there going to be possibly any visibility from that building to the road? That's my question, because if they're not taking down trees, there's no way that anybody's going to see this place.
I said there are trees along the property, not along the frontage.
I understand, but the trees on the other side of my fence, some of them are mine and some of them are, I'm guessing the county, the boroughs, whatever. They can't take those down, correct?
Well, the borough doesn't own any property. There would be state right-of-way on the
The
frontage.
state. So can they take down state trees?
I would think as long as they got permission from the state to do it.
In the footprint of their entrance, yes.
I'm talking about up the street a little bit so you can see the building, because believe me, I live there, so you're not going to be able to see this building unless you're taking down a ton of trees.
The only thing there, based on what I'm seeing off the plans, I don't know if you can see that tree line right there at the bottom. It looks like they're not going to be taking any of those out that are along the roadway.
Okay, so they're not taking any trees around the roadway, plus they're not taking any trees in my backyard down, correct? Is that what we're saying?
That's what it's showing.
Yes.
Okay, well,
Where are all the crashed cars gonna be? Like, are those gonna be along our house? Are they gonna be, like, on that property? Where are they gonna put all the cars that are wrecked, that they're gonna take in with the tow truck right beside our entrance? I don't know how that's gonna work. I don't
are they putting them in the back of the building, the other side of the building, or where?
Around the building. It appears that they are around the building.
Around the building. So they're going to be highly visible
Around the
from our...
back of the, back and two sides.
Well, then they're highly visible from our...
They're gonna put
from
a
our
junkyard on
yeah.
our property. It's junk.
So, and again, we're trying to make this the least painful for us, since, we've been there for quite a while, and I don't really want to look at this. There's not a whole lot we can do about it, but it'd be nice not to wake up every morning, sit on my back deck and look into a body shop.
And hear the noise and the...
Because from my property line, what is it, 100 feet?
That's 100 feet from
Is that what it is?
our line.
Anybody know?
Yeah,
Yeah, well, that's like,
that's like from me to that
I mean, that's
side.
not
It's
very far.
ridiculous.
so,
And they still did the minimum. I remember you saying that they said they were doing the minimum, and you said maybe they should talk with the residents and come to an agreement. Did anything like that ever happen from the last meeting?
No.
I think they landscaping, did they not? To
That's
the
correct.
giant arborvitae?
Oh, you're
Yes,
talking.
but they didn't talk to any of the residents.
Yeah, they never
Well,
contacted us.
Say again, please.
Said the deer
I don't know
will eat
anything
the
about it.
arborvitae.
So really, as far as cooperation with the company, there's none with the residents or the community. So where do we stand at this point? What's our next option to make sure that we keep our life still private from this junkyard?
I understand your comments. I'd like to hear from your other neighbors or other people that are out there.
Well, plus we're worried about our property value also. I mean,
Yes.
you know, to have something like this in my backyard, I'm sure it's going to make something depreciate in my property, which I'm not happy with, you know, as well as my neighbors. I mean, we're three affected more than anybody. Now, I talked to a lot of people in Manordale Farms, the people on Willow, which is down the bottom facing the backside. They didn't even realize what was going on here. So I talked to a lot of them, and they're upset now that they're going to be looking straight in the back of this body shop also. So, I mean, I know it doesn't mean a lot, but, you know, it's affecting a neighborhood, which there's so much property across the street that's flat. There's nobody on it. I don't understand why it would have to be in our backyard. It's in the back of a residential area. Doesn't make sense.
Good.
All right, well, thank you anyway.
Next resident,
That's it, Mr. Chairman.
is the applicant representative here?
Yes.
Ma'am, could you give us your name, please?
Sure can. My name is Melanie Bagley. Good to see you all again. You all picked up on a lot of the changes that we discussed. We've had some back and forth working with Jim and FTMSA. As you noted, you know, our takeaways from the last meeting were main concerns included the swale for the stormwater, which has been moved off the property line. We did a tree survey after this meeting, after the last meeting, to evaluate what was existing, so we could specifically identify what would remain. I know there was a concern from one of the neighbors as to whether or not, you know, their property would be disturbed at the removal of some of these trees or some of the grading. So we've moved really everything off that property line, and we proposed, you know, an extension of the landscaping. The trees that are there, yes, they are going to be planted at 6 feet, but by moving those arborvitae or the green giants to this area, they're actually at a higher elevation. So they are being they're not sitting as low as they were before. So we feel like that also adds that little bit of impact or boost to the overall planting height when they are planted. The sanitary sewer line was another item that we felt was a necessary move. We're doing a main extension that will benefit the residual parcel when and if and when they develop. So that is also off that side, that west side of the building. I want to touch on a couple things that were mentioned. The signage, I did review your signage code after the last meeting. It's my understanding that businesses with a singular frontage are permitted one wall sign. Businesses with two frontages are permitted to divide the square footage and have two business wall signs. In this case, just to ensure and that we meet the condition, the sign will be placed facing the highway. It will not be facing the residents. One of the residents noted a concern with freestanding signage, a pole sign. In this case, on the site plan, you can see we are proposing a low impact or low height monument sign only. There will be no, at least proposed right now is a monument sign. There was a concern about how will people be able to identify the property, the caliber collision if it's set back off the roadway. Great point. You know, the intention of the monument sign would be to draw those people in off the highway to give them that advanced warning, you know, that the business is coming up. Yes, there are trees that will remain. That was intentional to preserve as much of the existing landscape as possible. I want to stress that the drop-offs are by appointment only. I drove down the highway myself today. It is 45, but everybody does seem to go just a wee bit faster down there. So I do understand. We do have a review. Got our first comments back from DOT. We are addressing those. There were no additional measures placed upon us at this time for the entrance, other than it must be, remain a right in and right out. But again, I do feel with, the monument sign coupled with the number of trips that are anticipated every day, that will be handled, mitigated by those measures. With regard to the visibility into the site, you mentioned Bowser's. I did drive by Bowser's today. I do see that they have sort of an interior-exterior operation. They do have a vinyl fence up that some of the cars are stored behind there in various stages of repair. In this case, the cars that are in various stages of repair are all contained behind the fence. There's nothing that exists out in front of the fence unless somebody's coming to pick up their car that's already been repaired. So again, everything is behind that gate that closes. We're proposing an 8-foot fence. When we were here last time, we had proposed a 6-foot fence. We're providing trees and everything along the fence line, bushes, everything to enhance what the neighbors are going to be seeing. And we feel like we have, come to the table with some things that would be more pleasing to the eye and the general condition of what we're proposing here. I think that's kind of what I wanted to touch on. With that, we would respectfully request your recommendation. Any other questions?
Yeah, I have some concerns
Yes, sir.
based on the residents' comments. So
Yes, sir.
we talked about the sign. The sign, you say, is only going to be on the front of the building and
Yes, sir.
facing the highway. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Yes,
You're gonna
sir.
have a monument sign out along the road.
Yes, sir.
Monument sign being 4 or 5 feet high or something like that.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what about the lighting at night? I mean, I realize you have to have some lighting for security, but I noticed on the lighting plan, it seemed like there were lights above garage doors, which would directly face these neighbors that are out there. What can be done about that?
They are wall packs. They are, as you just stated, exactly correct. They're security lights. They are over the garage doors themselves. I did confirm they are on timers. They're photocell lights, so they're meant to go on and off at dusk and dawn. But they are regulated by the operator. If there is a lighting, they're also shielded, so the light is to be cast down, right? So they're a full shield. The light is cast down over the garage doors themselves. It is not intended that the light would be cast outward toward the property line. The photometric that we had provided, I believe Jim had all of the lighting levels, the foot candle lighting levels at 0 at the property line. So even before they get to the property line, it's at 0. Again, if there are concerns with the timing of the lights, that's something that we can certainly talk about with the operator, but the intention is that they would be fully shielded, right? So, and they're sort of a curved lamp shield, if you will, against the lights really cast down over the garage door itself.
I understand what you're saying, and the photometrics do show that there's 0 foot candles out at the property line. However, when you're looking straight ahead at some of these things, unless there's a shield on the front of them to prevent, the people up on the hill looking right at that can be somewhat obnoxious. If you're sitting on your back porch just looking at them. So they're shielded in some fashion.
Cast light on
That may take that, and I think maybe you can
The doors are white.
we can put something in the operation that the lights have to go off at a certain hour or something like that. At least the lights on this side.
That, or, again, we can condition to provide a specification that Jim can, bless, and we can ensure that it's, fully shielded.
What
So that it's
color
not-
are the doors?
Pardon me?
What color are the doors?
They are, Jim, you don't still have the elevate, I should have brought the elevation. They are typically painted to match the exterior of the building.
So they're not white, or they're dark, or what?
They're more of like a, I think I'm trying to, actually, hold on. On mine too. Give me 1 second.
I thought I had it loaded.
In this case, yes, they are painted to match the building. The exterior stone is sort of a light beige color. It's all painted to match so that it looks consistent. Yes, sir.
And so they're also a matte finish, I presume.
Yes, sir.
So that minimizes reflection off the doors.
Yes, sir. And you can see in the elevations, really the only building lighting, again, that's proposed on this, there are really no decorative fixtures on this side. It's truly a security wall pack over the garage door itself.
Which one?
Will the monument sign be lit?
We would prefer that it be illuminated. It would be I only read through the code for the wall sign, so forgive me, but it would be whatever your standards are. For the business district, I believe you allow exterior or interior illumination. I believe I also read that it's preferred that the sign be lit, either like by a gooseneck or something. So that's something that we can certainly work with you on. We haven't even started on the sign package, but with your input, we'll make sure it's picked up in the details.
Let me I'm just thinking out loud here,
Yes, sir.
speculating. I appreciate the fact that you changed from at least on this side, a old chain link fence to the vinyl. I think that's a step in the right direction. I'm just wondering, since the property sits down from the neighboring residence, has there been any thought to putting this 8-foot high vinyl fence more up near the top of the hill to where it would actually shield the residents from this?
Or right
Been
behind
any
the
thought to
landscape.
that at all?
You don't want to block the landscaping.
Right, yeah, I want to be on their side.
And I don't know whether that
I guess
does anything or not. I'm just speculating.
yeah, I mean, I understand where you're going with that, but then I heard someone say it, we'd be putting landscaping on the inside of the fence. We need to have
Put the landscaping on the outside of the
Yeah,
fence,
you
up against the property line and the fence behind it. You'd have kind of a double thing there of
I can
trees
see
and
the fence from here.
arborvitae and fence.
Yeah. What does that do, though?
Gets it at a higher elevation.
I'm just speculating. Does anybody else have any comment on that, whether that's any good or not?
What is the finished floor of the building? I don't have that plan. Must be about 1154 or 1155.
I think you're almost correct there. Hold on just a second.
Yeah,
It's the great plan.
which is here.
Yeah, we're right at 11, I think, Jonathan, 1150, 1155, right there.
Can I say something? We prefer the fence not to be right up against the property. Come up to them. I mean, that's even worse.
You're going to have to come to the microphone, sir.
If it's a discussion, we would rather not have that fence right up against the property line, because that's even worse. I'd rather have it down a little further, and then these trees or whatever they are in between them. I guess that's what we're talking about. I mean, that would be a little more feasible than having a fence right butt up against my property line.
Yeah, that's what we're saying. The fence would be behind that landscaping.
Yeah.
Regardless.
So
But maybe further
the
up.
fence, and then in between the fence and my property line was these trees, whatever they are. Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah.
Yes.
I just don't want the fence right up against our property line.
Very quickly, could you put a photo up of Conley's Auto Repair Center out on Route 22? We took a picture tonight so you can see, and they have the most modern lighting available. It lights up the whole area. I don't care how they put this in there, what they're telling you, when they put those lights on, we're going to see it at night, all night long.
I think they're proposing them to be dusk to dawn lights.
What?
Dusk to dawn lights.
I mean, I think, what does Conley have? I think they would have the same thing.
They're not on dusk to dawn.
No? I don't know what those look like. It's a mess. Property available right across the street. Nobody would object to that.
Members of the Plan Commission, any other thoughts on this?
I'm very concerned for the residents. I understand that when you own a piece of property that's business and you're right next door to residential, that the people that own the business property have a right to do with it as they wish, dependent upon, you know, what the municipality requires. I can't help but feel for the neighbors. And I don't know if we have the ability to say no. And I'd like to have that question answered, because if we do have that ability, I would have to say, I would have to rule in favor of the people that have lived there for 30 years.
Mr. Morrison, can you comment on Ms. Hoy's concern?
According to the reviews, the applicant has met the requirements of the zoning ordinance. There's no reason to deny.
That's what I was afraid of. And I hope the residents understand that, you know, we don't take this lightly at all. I don't. I've lived in Murraysville a long time, and I know people move here because it's beautiful and quiet and dark. Unfortunately, your property line is right up against a business zone. And as Mr. Morrison just stated, we cannot, if they've met all the requirements, say no. I'm just very sorry, but that's the way the rules are.
Other members of the Planning Commission have any thoughts on this?
I believe that Jane said it well, and that discussion and response by Mr. Morrison really was what I was thinking. So I understand what the Planning Commission can do, but it is zone business, and they have met the requirements.
Again, the only thing, I think the applicants have heard the concerns, and they're trying to do within their limits what they can do, but that's why I was asking about the color of the doors, thinking about minimizing reflection. The fence, maybe better beige than white. I mean, if that makes more sense. A green or something, anything to try to minimize the visual impact. So I know you all have tried to accommodate the concerns, so that might be another option, is also making the fence a different color.
Anyone else?
Nope.
Well, my thoughts on this are that, yes, they have met the terms of the ordinance. And under normal circumstances, that is sufficient. It's unfortunate in this case where this property, a business use, is right up against several people's backyards. However, the municipality does have some leverage here, in that the municipality has to grant an easement for sewer. And with that being said, I I think there's a little bit more that could be done here to address the the residents' concerns of joining it. And I understand that
These doors on the other side.
we always try to play by the rules. We try to get everybody to be in compliance with the rules. That's a little different. You know, they're asking for something from us. They should give something back to the community, particularly when they've heard a number of times here that from these people. So that's my thoughts on it.
Well, one other thought just occurred to me. There was some concern about the doors being on this side. How much does it affect the footprint to put the doors on the east side of the building?
It would be a totally different building.
Clearly.
It would be a totally different building footprint, building layout. That would be the difference.
It would just be a mirror image.
Right. Reverse the plan. So these people would be on the quiet side, the dark side, and it wouldn't be so intrusive for them. You can reverse a plan.
Were you able to get the elevations? It's fine. If you didn't, it's fine. Or the footprint. There are openings on both sides. But I want to remind the commission that all of the work is done inside the building. There's no work being performed outside of the building.
Yeah, but that does not address the residents' concerns about lighting their sky all night long when they're used to having the ability to see the stars. So, I mean, I hate to send you back to the drawing board. Believe me, I know what it takes to design a building. But in this case, you have neighbors that have been there for 25 years, and this is their pride and joy, and they're quiet. And I think you need to try a little bit harder to accommodate them.
Am I hearing the commission correctly that one of the larger concerns is the lighting? Is that aside from the obvious, for it not to be there altogether?
I would say lighting and aesthetic view.
Aesthetic view, okay.
I don't know that switching this building, guys, is going to do much. There's not much difference in them when I'm looking at these elevations.
If it's any, again, a consolation, the resident-facing view actually has the more, I would argue, aesthetically pleasing side, as it has the front portico entry pediment that is comprised of the stone and different materials versus the other side, which has, more garage door openings on the other side. So just flipping the plan doesn't necessarily.
Flipping it's a bad idea, is what you're saying.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We looking at the plans, we'd agree.
Yeah, I just pulled them up here. They're in the folder from last month, or last month's meeting.
Not going to make any difference.
Not make it worse.
Not at all.
Okay.
Are these buildings all the same, or are they custom designed for the specific lot it's going to be built on?
To put it simply, they're relatively the same. The footprint is either larger or smaller. In this case, this is our smallest footprint. We have a 12,000 square foot building, which is what we're presenting to you tonight, or what we've been presenting. There's a 14,000 square foot footprint, a 16,000 square foot footprint. As you might imagine, each with more and more bays, service bays, more garage door openings. This is a smaller site that, in order to achieve the parking that we need and to meet the standards and the design standards of the building, we went with the smallest prototype, smallest building that we have. Let me caveat that statement with, if you were to do a search online for Caliber Collision, you will find a multitude of aesthetics. Typically, that's related to the fact that a lot of Caliber Collisions are remodels of existing buildings. So there are some that look different. In this case, this is a ground up.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen of the Planning Commission, what do you want to do here? You have no grounds really to deny.
Don't.
There's a whole bunch of conditions that Mr. Morrison has read to you. Or you want to or do you just want to recommend tonight? And I don't know what all your thoughts are.
I mean, in my opinion, I think they've listened to the concerns as much as they could. They've addressed all they've met the ordinance, as we've heard. They've went above and beyond with some landscaping and some changes to try to comply with some of these concerns. But as Jim mentioned, and most of us, if not all of us, know, we don't have the authority to deny them, nor does the municipality when they're meeting the code. So I'm in a position to make a recommendation of approval.
Yeah, and I'd say pass it on to council.
I second it.
The conditions outlined by Mr. Morrison,
Yes.
that's your motion, Chris?
I'll make a formal motion that we recommend approval of this site plan, SP 7-23, with the conditions as noted from staff.
Is there a second to Chris's motion?
Yeah, second.
Second. Any questions on the motion?
I just want to note, I think it's SP 423.
Yes,
Yes.
it is
Sorry,
23.
that's correct.
No questions.
No questions? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Same. Motion carries.
Thank you all.
Thank you for your efforts.
Thank you. Have a good night. Thank you.
Okay, the next item is SP 623 Whispering Woods subdivision. Major land development application at 3304 Logan's Ferry Road. This is a 6-lot subdivision on 19 acres. It's zoned RR. Mr. Morrison, I understand we have some concerns regarding the roadway.
Let me get my papers organized here. I posted to the Dropbox a letter that I received today at about 5 o'clock outlining the request of the applicant for waivers on the road standards. The briefing, I've highlighted in yellow the concerns that were identified in the briefing, and they're concentrated around the proposed road, driveway, private road, not sure what to call it at this point, and access. The applicant, based on the last meeting, did gentle the curve on the hill, widened the entrance, and widened the paved width of the driveway to 15 feet, and did provide, and in the Dropbox, a drawing indicating the ability of our truck, to access through the area. The other item that they did identify or did change was increase the cul-de-sac at the end of the drive to 40 feet. There are a couple questions in there about slope stabilities that probably should be addressed and will be identified to the applicant. I do not believe at this point in time that the application is ready for consideration.
So we should table this until these matters are addressed.
Well, I think that we should, if you guys had an opportunity to take a look at the briefing, ask any questions that you may have. I have all the information in response to the questions that I had and the council the Planning Commission had presented at the last meeting. I think it is whether you want to consider granting or recommending granting of the modifications. Now, there seems to be a conflict. The road standards say that a private road can be or the zoning ordinance says 5 or less lots. The road standards say less than 5 lots. So I don't know what to tell you about that, other than we're dealing with a driveway, a proposed driveway. I had concerns about the 2 lots that front on Logan's Ferry, as to at this time not indicating where the driveways would be, and future problems once someone would come in and want to develop the lot. There may be restrictions because of distance between driveways. There are some concerns about the on-site stormwater management systems as to how they're going to drain and impact some of the soils. So I think there's still questions that need to be addressed, and the applicant's representative will be given a copy of the briefing.
Are there a list of these modifications, Jim?
Yes, they were just posted today. I got them late today. Let me get to that.
Mr. Morrison, one of the things that just came about this afternoon is there is a profile, a vertical profile of the street with a certain type fire truck. I'd like you to send that over to the fire chief and ask him to take a look at that to make sure that we still don't have an issue there with that.
Well, here's the concern with that, Mr. Maidal. Municipality in 2017 passed an ordinance that the design has to be for 250 feet, and at the same time, you probably recall, passed an ordinance requiring any bridge to be able to manage 30 tons that access either a driveway or a private roadway. So I don't know that there's anything in the ordinance beyond that that could dictate that it has to meet a certain type of fire truck, and I'm referencing the ladder truck. There are provisions in the road standards as to what requirements have to be met to meet fire access. Now, if they need changed, then that needs to be addressed with council, but I think an argument could be made that that they are meeting the requirements.
Well, I think that that's part of the due diligence on the municipality's part, is to send it over to the fire chief and let him see that. Engineers can certainly check out the whether it meets the ordinance standards, but I would just go, just as a matter of courtesy, send that over to them.
Okay?
So do we have a motion to table?
And Mr. Chairman, I will make a motion to table this till we get some of these items buttoned up.
I think these people here are all saddled up, ready to ride. Do you want to hear from them?
Say that again, Ed?
So these folks are here prepared to maybe offer information. Do you think we should hear their information?
Well, or at least I want to hear these modifications at least before we just
Certainly
table
we
it.
can hear from them. Didn't know there was anybody here.
I appreciate that. My name is Brian Almeter with the firm of Farringer McCarty Gray. We're representing the applicant, Green Space Realty, who owns the property today. And as Mr. Morrison pointed out, we inadvertently it was very late in the day by the time I was able to write the letter of the specific modifications to Chapter 97, specific to the construction of roadways, private roadways, driveways, those types of things. So very quickly, if I could just summarize those modifications. Under Section 95-A1, the design speed for a local non-municipal road is 25 miles an hour. This driveway is not meant to be driven at 25 miles an hour. It serviced a house and a couple of barns, and we're continuing to use that same alignment. So we request the modification to that specific ordinance requirement. Under Section 97-5A2, paved road width is required to be 24 feet. That's regardless of whether it's non-municipal. Once you hit that, as Mr. Morrison pointed out, 5 lots, it's required to be built to municipal standards in the pavement width. So what we're asking for is a reduction down to 15-foot wide, which is the minimum that Mr. Mahoney had mentioned in his email from his original review of the plan. Partly the reason why we're asking for the pavement width is a couple of fold. Was stormwater runoff. We want to minimize the runoff, even though we're capturing it and detaining it and maintaining it on our property to meet the code. Additional pavement is always, we're always trying to minimize the pavement, regardless of how we're controlling it, detaining it, and that type of thing. So that's one of the ways we're able to do that, is to design this specifically for these 5 homes. The next modification is requested is 97-5B1. This is the design not comply with the alignment required for horizontal radius. At the bend coming up the driveway, and I know it's on the plans, but the inside radius of the pavement was originally at 15 foot as originally submitted in early November. Since that time, we were able to make that a more gentle radius at 30 foot, but the center line is only 37.5 feet. Again, mostly just because cars will be coming up this road and not larger vehicles that you would normally have in I'll say a real subdivision plan. 97-5B2, design does not comply with the 25-mile-an-hour design for vertical curve. Again, what we've done is amended the plan, revised the plan since it was originally submitted to have a 30-foot vertical curve at the entranceway in the connection to Logan's Ferry Road. That shows that vehicle with a 250-inch wheelbase, which is about 21 feet long, can traverse that vertical curve without scraping the bumper either on Logan Ferry Road or as it comes up the hill onto the property toward these homes. And that also exceeds what Chief Mahoney had mentioned in his email correspondence to us. 97.5C small e, design does not appear to have the required right-of-way radii at the intersection with Logan's Ferry. We made the right-of-way 50 foot wide, and it comes perpendicular to Logan's Ferry Road right-of-way. Partly for engineering purposes, straight lines are easier than curves, but it doesn't impact the overall function of the driveway, so we just butted in to the Logan's Ferry right-of-way. And then lastly, I believe was 97.5E2 small c, proposed thickness of the pavement wearing course does not meet the 3-inch as required, again, under local municipal roads. And I believe that requirement is based on two separate applications of the wearing course. And I'll say normal subdivision world, you have 25, 50, 75 lots, whatever it is. The developer comes in and pays that road, puts 1.5 inches of wearing course down. They build the homes. They dirty up the roads. They do their thing. At the end, when a certain percentage of homes are built, they come back in and put another 1.5 inches of wearing course on, making it the 3-inch width. So in this case, the intent is to pave the driveway all at one time as the houses are built or were built and be done with it. So we think that that's adequate for this private road that's going to be owned and maintained by these homeowners. So those are the key sort of modifications that were listed in your construction and road street Chapter 97 requirements.
Okay, so they're all related to the driveway,
Yes, exactly.
road, whatever we're
Yeah.
calling it.
Yep. So other than,
Do about these, you got 6 lots on something that can only have 5 lots according to the ordinance.
it's 5 lots, actually. The remaining parcel does not have direct access to this driveway. That has frontage already on Logan Ferry Road on the opposite side of the 2 adjoining residences as we go up the hill toward
Shangri-La.
Shangri-La. Thank you.
So we only have 5 lots that would access this roadway.
That's correct.
Maximum of 5.
And it does have to be classified as a road. Otherwise, the 2 lots, or the lots at the top of the hill would have no frontage on a public road.
Yes, on a,
Okay. Members of the Planning Commission, you heard the recommendation of the planning director, and you heard Brian's response. What are your wishes?
Well, how much of a, I guess, my question is, how much of a stretch are these exceptions?
It depends.
It depends on what, I mean, what,
It's a private road, so it'll be the responsibility of the property owners. The accessibility, again, is on the burden of the property owners and to some extent the emergency services, which we will send that information over to them. I'm more concerned about some of the other issues with the excavation and these detention facility, individual lot detention facilities. So they're proposing them to be in cut areas that could eventually saturate the soils. Doesn't indicate whether how they're flowing off-site, could saturate the areas, cause slipping. There was a note made as to the demolition of the old structure there. Where is it? Was it all taken out? Those types of questions that I think still need to be addressed.
We had PA Soil and Rock as the soils engineer that looked at both the stability of the slopes and the infiltration requirements that's mandated by the Murraysville Stormwater Code as well as excavation code and those types of things. We initially had them review the condition and we sent the report as part of the initial application in early November. After these comments were received in early December, we also sent them the comments, and they had responded back in doing the stability analysis. There are still open comments. I'm not sure exactly why I didn't get into the details or whether they matched the original briefing or were they new. And we can certainly have PA Soil and Rock revisit those comments and offer additional information.
What I would like you to do, Brian, is when I send you the Word copy of the briefing over, just respond under those items.
Okay.
Instead of me trying to cut and paste from your response to this response.
Okay, that's understand.
Here's where I see the problem with this development. And, first of all, it's a tough property. Second of all, there's really probably only 2 properties that are going to be developed at this time. So we're going to have 3 remaining properties that at some time in the future, somebody's going to come in and want to build a house on there, and this is going to get lost somewhere in the archives of history, and they're going to come in and they're going to put one of these ponds in somewhere, not reference, if it's not included on the plan, how that's supposed to be built, where it's supposed to be built. You may have driveways that are going to be conflicting on Logan's Ferry. That needs to be put on the plan, noted. As much as the developer doesn't want to shoehorn a future builder on that property, because of the nature of the property, I think it has to be.
The stormwater management facilities will be built now. They're not individual. We had originally talked about that. They are separate, and there are only 2 of them, but they're going to service the 5 lots. So they have to be built now in order to accommodate the 5 houses.
All right, that needs to be responded to on the briefing. So,
Just comments, the roadway, private roadway, whatever, is 15 feet wide. That is really not very wide. It's a one-way road. So are there turnoffs or anything like that, or are you just keeping it the way it is?
It's wider than what it currently is today. Right
Yeah.
now, it's probably in the 10 to 11-foot wide gravel driveway that serviced the original house and barns on the property. So it is getting widened to 3 or 4 more feet to accommodate
Yeah.
the 4 homes.
Well,
homes
it's
on the-
the property owners need to deal with that.
Right.
Anyway.
Yes.
Second one is relative to the fire truck. I agree with whoever said it before. I think you got to go back to Omahani and get that taken care of, get his final review on it.
Yep, we as I said, we received comments in late November. We changed the plans to address those comments. We will certainly entertain any additional comments that he may have at that time, based on these revisions.
So hearing all that, it sounds like we're back to tabling this until the next meeting,
that would be my recommendation.
until, until some of these, till the staff has a better comfort level with what's going on here. We get some feedback from the fire chief and some of these things are cleaned up.
Okay.
I move to table it to the next meeting.
Second.
There's a motion and a second.
Did you bring the time waiver?
I have it with me. I haven't signed it yet, so, but I will.
Someone care to make a motion?
Yeah, Bob, we already had a motion and a second.
We did.
Yes.
I did not hear it.
It was a
Motion to do what?
Motion to table.
Table.
Table. Motion to table. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Opposed? Abstention? Thank you. See you
Thank you.
next month. Okay, the next item is new business. SP 723, a major land development application. This is the Castiglione plan of lots on Westertown and Hildy Road, the 24-lot subdivision in RR zoning. Total is 54 acres. And is there someone representing the applicant this evening?
Yes.
Okay, can you come forward and identify himself and
Hello, I'm Brian Metzler with T3 Global Strategies. I'm here with my associate Bob Melnick. We're both PEs working on this project, and we're representing Paul Ficcione, the property owner and developer and future homeowner in this development. So we'd like to thank you for having us in tonight. This is a property, like you said, off of Westertown Road, approximately 54 and a half acres that we've looked at extensively for the last couple years. We've explored options of doing it as an R1 or R1 conservation or RR subdivision. The property is currently zoned RR, and our intent is to do a development by right. So what we've submitted, I believe, in middle of November was complete land development and subdivision plans for 24 lots complying, or our intention is to comply with the RR zoning. Those are approximately 200-foot wide lots. So we have 24 of them. It will be accessed by public streets, public utilities, water and sewer. Our intention is to meet the ordinance. The subdivision will be served by stormwater detention by a regional facility, which will be on a parcel of land that will be owned by a homeowners association. And we'll establish an association that will care for that, along with landscaping and, entry monument and whatnot associated with the development. Like I said, this property is owned by our client, Paul Fishone, and he plans to live in the neighborhood. So it's something that we're trying to lay the roads and home sites with the land and make a community that everybody here can be proud of. So understand we submitted in November. I think everybody's had an opportunity to review it. We've gotten a round of comments from Murraysville, which we have not yet addressed. So tonight, I really want to be available to answer any questions that you have on them and, look forward to working through this process with everybody.
Thank you. No, thank you for waiting. I hated to move you on the agenda, but there's other people that were here before you, so.
Yeah, no problem at all. I have nowhere to be.
Okay, Mr. Morrison, where are we at on this project?
Posted a briefing to the Dropbox for your review. On discussions, there was a couple of questions raised. One is, this will probably require a major excavation conditional use, so we'll have to set up the conditional use meeting. The other question raised was whether this is, should be preliminary and final. Is this intended to be developed in phases? And you can answer that.
Okay, the project is intended to be developed in one phase. So we're going to come in and, do the grading necessary for the roadways, which consists of, the 3 cul-de-sacs, utilities, and grading for the roads, and do that all at once. So the way we are permitting it is it's an individual permit with the DEP and the Corps of Engineers. So that permit will not only show that road grading, but also show our anticipated home sites and an area and graded with those. So I think your question on phased, it will be one phase. We intend to do it all together, and I'm not sure if I missed anything or not, Jim.
Now, are you planning to submit plans to show the earth movement?
Yes, that's shown. It's actually in the submittal phase. We showed it as phased grading so that there's 2 grading plans. There was an initial phase and a final phase so that you could see both conditions.
I didn't see that in the Dropbox. I don't have that here.
Yeah, I believe those were the full sheets, and if I'm correct, they were, I think, sheets 4-1 and maybe 4-2.
It's called Castiglione CD's plans. Is the name of the file.
Okay.
Page 4 and 5 of that PDF.
There we go.
Yeah, so what our intention is, you can see that there is grading because, we are putting roads to meet your requirements and slopes on land, and then we're siting homes where we feel that they're best suited for the land and, maintaining your private driveway standards to access those. So there is some grading involved, but there's also a large portion of the site that will remain untouched. This is not going to be a development where we go in and, cut one side, fill the other side, and clear all the trees. Our goal is to save as much existing vegetation as we can.
Well, what I would suggest, Mr. Chairman, is that we accept the plan this evening and schedule a public hearing for the conditional use.
Okay, have we accepted this application yet, Mr. Morrison?
No.
Okay, so the first order of business would be to accept the application and to schedule a hearing for the major excavation.
That's correct.
Can I have such a motion?
Motion to accept the application?
Yes, and to schedule a public hearing.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Okay. Jim, has all the reviews been done on this? Whatever's been submitted, there's some material lacking, I think.
No, I don't believe.
Geotech report.
I don't believe so. A geotechnical report.
Yes, there's a geotechnical report that was prepared by PA Rock and Soil. That's been submitted. We do have, a few pages of comments that are primarily, making sure we address things that are in the ordinance that were close on, no major concerns that we had with them. I think we submitted, the geotech traffic statement, the environmental study. I think there was a couple other ones. Yeah, streams and wetlands, we did the full environmental assessment. I think we submitted you a binder of 700 pages of all the reports that went along with the submittal.
Sir, have you received the comments from the municipality yet?
Yes, we received comments the middle of last week, and, our team and our client have gone through them, and we didn't have any major concerns of anything that we could not address, but we have not addressed them.
You're in the process of addressing those.
Correct.
All right. So, Mr. Morrison, I assume that what we would do is table this tonight for any further action until the applicant has responded and we have all our reviews in.
Well, I think the action that was necessary was taken. We wouldn't have any other action because we hadn't accepted the proposal or the application yet.
Okay. There's nothing further tonight on this item.
Not unless you had questions.
Gentlemen, do you have any questions?
No.
Chris? James?
Nope.
Ed?
No.
Jim, Tony, Ryan?
Not for me.
Okay, well then we'll entertain a motion to adjourn for this evening.
So moved.
You can get the conditional use application online.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.